Let's see, time now 9:49. K2 is the second highest mountain on Earth, and a quarter of those who've tried to reach the summit have died trying. But it's still the peak that climbers dream of conquering.
It may come second to Everest in height, but it's ranked as much more dangerous.
Jack, Meyer is one of only a handful of Brits to reach the top. We can see what that looked like as he climbed it.
It's 8 AM, we've just reached the summit of K2. Can't quite believe we're here, but we're at the top of the second highest point on Earth. I don't quite know what to say, but I guess we better try and get back down safely.
Jake, you look surprisingly perky at the top there.
Thank you.
Which isn't, I'm surprised because it just is so cold as well, and you'd failed a couple of times before, so what did it mean to you?
That's right. It'd been a 10-year journey for me. Ever since climbing Everest when I was 21, the dream had always been then to move on to K2, which represents a much more challenging adventure than Everest. And I tried in 2009 and we got beaten back by poor snow conditions. Tried in 2016, an avalanche swept away our camp and brought an end to the expedition. And so 2018 was what I hoped would be, and of course turned out to be third time lucky.
We're seeing these amazing images here. Now, you use the word challenging, which is quite often overused, I think, in some situations. But when we read out that statistic, which is that right, that 1 in 4 climbers who try and do the thing you did die in the course of trying? Is that correct?
Like any statistic, it's slightly how you play with the numbers. I mean, now it's more like 1 in 5.
But nonetheless,
20%.
I mean, this is a very, very dangerous business.
It is, and we had 2 deaths this year. One from a snapped rope, somebody leant back to abseil and the rope snapped, and another from somebody who fell very, very high up on the mountain.
Well, give us a sense, as we're watching these images, how much do those thoughts, and I know you've got children, haven't you? Young children, right. You've got family. How much do those things, the risks, how much do they play in your head as you're doing this?
I think they're always there in the back of your mind, but at the same time, you can't let the risks and those perceptions of danger cloud your judgments and your thoughts. You have to appreciate them, but at the same time, you have to treat it like any other mountain. And yes, it has a history, and it has a pretty infamous history, but actually a day on the hill is just a day on the hill.
It's not though, is it? Most people, a day on the hill might be a walk in the Peak District or the Lake District, you know, and that's challenging enough. Why do you need to set yourself this kind of challenge?
Well, Meyer, I guess, famously said of Everest, because it's there. I guess I'd turn that around slightly and say, because I'm here. And I've managed to go off to all sorts of amazing mountains around the world. And so it's a case of setting myself a little bit more of a challenge each time. And K2 has just been that dream for so long.
Well, you've done it. Now,
I have.
What's next?
Well, very much getting back to work as a management consultant, getting back into my role as an armoured troop leader in the Armoured Reserve, in the Army Reserve, and then also a family man, of course, but not necessarily in that order. There, of course, will be many more mountains and many adventures to be had, I'm sure.
And I'm intrigued about because clearly you get an absolute thrill out of doing what you do and a great sense of pride from it. But as Naga said before, the danger is that you're always looking for something. You're always looking for the next thing. Is that the way your head works? That you know, I know you say you're going back to this now, but lurking, is there a sense that you've just got to find something else?
There is. You end up spending your time whilst you're away thinking, why on earth am I doing this? It's miserable, it's ridiculous, it's mad, it's dangerous, all of those things. I just want to be at home. And of course, the minute you get home, you get itchy feet again. So for me, my dreams are often found pouring through the pages of atlases, watching the travel channels, and seeing what other adventures it can be.
And just explain for us, as I understand it, often mountaineers say going up, coming back down the mountain is more dangerous than going up. And there was an incident on your way down. Is that right?
That's right, and whilst you're going up, that's physically tough, but coming down is mentally exhausting as well, and you are that much more exhausted anyway, and that's often where the dangers can happen. So, for instance, both of the deaths this year occurred on the way down the mountain. We were involved in a rescue of another climber on a next door mountain who was coming down as well, and that's where you really have to keep your wits about you. Getting to the top is only half the journey.
Talk to me about mental stamina and the people you choose to do an expedition like this with, because you have to be of a similar mindset, but you also have to be very aware of where you fall down is the wrong word, but where you perhaps aren't as strong and know how to pick each other up without annoying each other.
Of course, and I think that often it's just about having that relationship with your fellow climbers, some which you might have known for years, others you may...
Tell us about your group.
So I was with a mixed team, an international team. I was climbing with a Slovenian climber called Tomas on K2. We had 3 Sherpas, and then we also shared a base camp with a team that was on another mountain as well. So we had that benefit of a big base camp and lots of people, and that's nice because you spend a lot of time in base camp and it's very easy to get bored, and keeping each other amused and keeping each other mentally stimulated is really important whilst you're there. But then when you're on the mountain, it's living sort of hand in glove with the other person. There was a wonderful moment where Thomas said to me, "Have you got a spare water bottle?" And I said, "No, I haven't." He said, "Have you got any bottles?" I said, "Well, I've got my pee bottle." He said, "That will do." And he then used that as a water bottle. Now,
Didn't have
that's
in it.
not at the time. No, but I had been used. So, of course, it's therefore a case of you have this relationship with somebody else. It's so intense for these few weeks.
So mental preparation obviously is key, but from what I understand, and you look in great shape, but physical preparation, perhaps you didn't do as much as people think you need to do.
No, I think people probably assume that you train for years for these kind of things, and most people do. I must admit I'm quite lazy. I don't really do any training for any of my trips. I'm much more of a sort of turn up and have a go kind of guy.
But you wouldn't offer that advice to anyone who's watching?
No, of course not.
Right.
Prepare yourself mentally, physically, emotionally.
We're glad you're here and safe and well, and all your fingers intact, because you've
right.
seen some climbers before in a pretty bad way. Good to see you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much.